I will answer as many questions as I can about the sewer, and I'd like to just tell you what I know about it. What we're talking about is the area. Oh, okay. The area that is what they call the Dowling Triangle. It's by the church, and it's Breed, and we're Dutton and Dowling. So there's 8 homes and the church. It's a little triangle. Does everybody know where I'm talking about? By Washington School. And what had happened is the sewer line, the main sewer line, has been compromised. It's over 100 years old. It's cracking and decaying, and so it's going to be non-functional soon. So the city put in a new main on Breed, and Breed. So the housing. I've got one of the presentations here. I also, if you're on the BNA listserv, I put a link to this very presentation if you want to see it for yourself. And what has happened is a lot of the homes that were built so long ago. One, the plans aren't in the city archives, and 2, some of the homes are actually built over their sewer lines. So when the city was attempting to try to make sense of where they could put these new sewer lines, there was no direct area to accommodate all the neighbors. So they put in the main line, and then the city decided that they would usually a line from where the branches off the sewer to your private hookup is a property owner's responsibility. The city is going to split that with the city, the residents. I know if it were my home and I got a letter saying that all of a sudden I'm going to have to pay to have my sewer hooked back up, I would have a lot of questions. And that's why we were hoping to have a staff member here to talk to you. I do have some answers for you, but I also know that there's a number that you can call, and we will be having another meeting with staff to get some of these questions answered. This plan was brought to the city. It's the first time in our city that a whole sewer system has failed. So it's the first time this whole process is being thought out and brought out. In December, the process was passed by the city council. It was on a facility meeting before that, and then after I got on the council, I saw it one time at our facility meeting. The city has made the accommodation. Oh, we have our staff person. The accommodation to loan the residents there up to $15,000. Not saying that that's how much it's going to cost, but there will be a 3-year loan for up to $15,000 at a 0.46 rate. Ken, if you want to come up, this is Ken Joseph, who is a city engineer. We have a couple questions about this. If you want to just kind of explain a brief overview on how it actually, it failed, and it just kind of, and then we have some questions, so I'll start with
you. Good evening, everyone. I was at a church, but I was at a church down the street, so pardon my tardiness here. Yeah, just briefly, I'm not sure how much we've gone through the detail, but in essence what has happened, we have a program every year to look at sewers, and the line that was actually a backyard line that went from Dutton, parallel to Beverly, runs down through the properties there, runs down Beverly to Broadmoor. That line had many, many problems. We were successful in taking the flow out of that line that comes from the upper neighborhoods, and you probably saw the construction that occurred on Beverly, which we basically took all the upstream flow and reduced that flow in that pipe, and this allowed us to build or rehabilitate the majority of the line north of Dowling by basically making it a smaller pipe. The piece that's between Dutton and Dowling is a whole another issue. All that was built in about 1910 or thereabouts. It was built when the subdivision lots looked a lot different than they do now, and that piece of pipeline is actually underneath two structures, and most of it is broken. A lot of it is actually not round anymore. So the decision it was definitely to be rehabilitated, and because of its location, it just made it impossible to fix it where it stood. So the decision was made to go to a new sewer line that is one on Beverly and one on Dalwood to serve basically the 9 properties that are served by that line in the backyard. Some of the other properties are served actually directly off of Dutton and unaffected. So this is sort of a new thing for us. We have never actually moved a sewer line. By municipal code established many, many years ago, sewer laterals all the way from the main, all the way into the property is the responsibility of the property owners. And if you've ever had a sewer problem here in town, and it's sort of the same as any other, in most jurisdictions, they're exactly the same thing. If you have a sewer line fail, you have to replace that. So we sort of pondered that problem, and we discussed it with a subcommittee of the council back in May last year, and tried to look at what the possible solutions were. Coming out of that, and that which actually led to an administrative code adoption in December, that effectively set up a program for the shifting a lateral from what is now going to be an abandoned line to a new line. And just to sort of go through the sort of the steps of that, it's a year process. Maybe I can see a show of hands. Are people in the audience that received our letters here a couple weeks ago? So it's a year process. And there's a couple real important steps to this. The first one is that there's a 45, while you're responsible for the entire lateral all the way to the main, for public safety, and we didn't want it in for convenience and also to help out, we've said that the lines from in the street, the ones from the main line to the back of the sidewalk, is something that the city can construct. And we want to do that all at one time so traffic isn't impacted by essentially nine different contractors coming out at 9 different times building a single lateral. That'd be a big inconvenience, a big traffic problem. So by doing them all at one time, it saves money for everybody. The city is going to pick that up. But we want to do that quickly and in one group. So that was the point of the first thing in the letter that said that in 45 days, we want to meet with each one of the property owners, find out where the best place is to have to serve the line from the other side of the street. Because we don't have, each house is different. We don't know how each house is plumbed. It's going to take a little bit of investigation. So we want to come in and understand that. So we put it in the best place for us, best place for you, basically the cheapest way of doing the lateral. The other point of that first 45 days is just to have you understand that even though the city is building it, it really still is your lateral. So once you've tied into that lateral, the responsibility you had for the old lateral is the responsibility you'll have for the new one once you're tied into the new lateral. The second part of that is really this financing plan. We went through many different scenarios. As I came in, we talked about the 0.5% interest loan. There is a program. I actually have some flyers here for low income. There's a process to go through and a phone number. It's not something we want to do in an open meeting, but we certainly do that privately. If you meet certain qualifications, there's a $2,000 grant that is available to help out with that work. But really key to that is that there's a $15,000 cap on this loan that has been established. Everybody's sort of focused that there's $15,000 worth of construction. That's probably not the case. Like I say, everybody is different depending on how your line is laid out where you are in relationship to the main line. That's not really the number, and you're really not going to know that number until you have a contractor, preferably 2 or 3, come out and give you a price. And so really that's sort of one of the first things to do, is come out and find out what you're really talking about. And if they want to come out and they're going to charge you for an estimate, go find yourself a different contractor. So they'd be more than willing to come out and look at it. And if you want to talk to your neighbors and have one contractor give you multiple bids, that might be the thing to do too. And then let me finish, and then I'll take some questions. So this process, we want to try to go through that process in about 6 months. Hence the 180 days that you saw in the letter. And then after that, we get the work done, and at the end of the year, which is the end of February, that line will be disconnected. We hope it doesn't go that far. We get this thing done. It's my job as city engineer is really to look out for the health and safety of people. Having a failed sewer line, you'll go from sewer service to potentially no sewer service overnight, and given this location, very difficult to try to fix, at least fix quickly. So anyway, with that, certainly open it to questions. Okay, the question here is, can I explain how the current sewer taxes are being used? The sewer taxes you pay for a couple of things. They pay for the collection system, which is all the mainline sewer works. That's the common things we built in the street, and for the sewer treatment plant, and for the maintenance of both of those. And as you'll be seeing here in a few months, actually for the quite a bit of rehabilitation work is going to occur at the treatment plant to bring it up to current standards. The question is, please outline the steps we can use to change the city policy requiring homeowners to pay sewer lateral configurations. Well, the steps are really to talk to your council, the person to talk to the council. It is like I said, in December it was approved as an administrative code change, and that code being guided by the municipal code. So there are things that we have to follow even in preparing that code. So, but if you wish to try to have a change, it really is something you should speak to your council about. The question is, I replaced my 137-foot sewer lateral last year with permits at considerable cost. The lateral runs to the back fence where the sewer main is located. I would assume that the city would have notified me if they were going to relocate the sewer main to do another location. I don't know, did the person who wrote this question, are they in the audience?
Yes.
Where are you?
Victoria.
Victoria. So you're not on. So you're not in this block of the nine. Okay.
No, but if it happens there, it could happen other places. There have been people on the email list who have said that they have in fact replaced their sewer mains in the last 2 years or so. So the situation exists regardless of this particular street. What does that person do?
Are you saying that they replaced it in these 8 holes?
No, this is in a different location. I mean, your question is well put. When you get a sewer lateral permit, particularly in a backyard, you are getting a building permit to do that. My job is to talk to the building official and make sure that we coordinate. When we don't necessarily know in the engineering department, because you're not working in the street, we don't necessarily know that you're working on a line that we may have plans to replace or not. So that's something I need to work on, which we can work on. We do have something called a sewer asset management system, which is basically a rating system of all the sewer lines. It tells us what kind of condition it is. It is something that we can go in and say, is this sewer in great shape or in not so great shape, that type of thing.
Do you know about that sewer main going down the bank between Victoria and Broadmoor?
I'm sorry, not off the top of my head. Yes, sir?
I live on Beverly. I'm across the street from my neighbors who were immediately affected. We just spent $2,000 repairing our private 200-foot lateral, so it's an issue for us as well. I'd like to dispute a couple of things. First of all, the original municipal code talks about residents' obligation to maintain ownership and maintenance of their sewer lateral. The reason the city had to have a December 20th council resolution to change the administrative code was to insert the word in the event of a relocation of the lateral. There's nothing wrong with any of the laterals in this triangle. The city moved the main sewer. The city should pay for the new laterals. Then they will become the property of the homeowners. Now, that's the substance of it. I'd also like to speak to the process. This was identified in 1995. The contract for consulting was let in 2008. In May of last year, the Facilities and Transportation Committee held a meeting. The previous mayor said, in that meeting, residents are going to expect the city to pay for this. And at that point, the chairman of the head of the engineering department said, we will talk to the residents. Never happened. In November, there was a second meeting of the Facilities and Transportation Committee meeting, where the then mayor asked, have the residents been notified? The staff responded that they were not going to notify the residents until they had a process in place. That's a quote from the minutes. In other words, a fait accompli. They took it with no notice to the residents to the December 20th council meeting, who unanimously, Prola passed the motion, they unanimously passed a council meeting to make the residents half or more than half responsible for the laterals the city was making useless. Now there's no alternative because it's law. My question is to the mayor and the council members is, will you sponsor and vote for a city council resolution to reverse this and make the city pay for what the city's costing? Thank you.
My short answer is no, I will not do that. I won't make that assurance to you tonight. I will study this. This issue has come up very quickly, and I need to understand it inside and out. I need to make sure that the factual and the procedural history that you're saying is correct. Absolutely, we want to treat the community right. We want to treat everyone fairly.
Thank Pauline for inviting excellently to the minutes.
And it's something that I will look at and I will respond to, but I can't give you the assurance tonight that you want.
I also will be talking as long as you want. Maybe take one more question.
I just have a question why the city didn't use trenchless replacement for its sewers instead of moving them, which seems to be a very common method used throughout the world. Europe, where they have problems, they never dig up for sewers and the like. They could have used that and then just reconnected at each location instead of having to move it.
Well, we use trenchless technologies all the time. In fact, we're doing it now up in the Bay Vista area, and we actually did do some lining work on the northerly part of the line that I was speaking of. The reason why we didn't do it in the case of this triangle piece is that it's underneath two houses, and we felt that the risk to the property owners of having a sewer underneath your house, particularly one that is structurally the structure of it is gone. I mean, we have a line, I believe it's a 12-inch line diameter. It's about 14 inches wide and about 8 inches tall right now, broken on all four sides. So this line is literally squashed. So the trenchless, any of the trenchless methods to do that could not establish that line structurally again, even if it was in a street, and given that it's presumably under the foundations of the home, is not something that we would want to continue. It's just not a good place to put a sewer line.
Actually, this is stated, as was stated, we're setting a precedent here. This is something the city has never done before. Since we're setting a precedent, and in light of this information that came from the previous meetings in association around this issue, it seems to me that the city, whether this was intentionally done by the city or not, it sounds like if what has been spoken is true, the city was trying to avoid these fees, which I feel are the responsibility of the city. I think I'm in agreement with a lot of people on that. But the other thing I'm looking at is this is not going to be a one-time thing. Infrastructure across the United States is crumbling. Our city is going to face this in the future in other areas, maybe not exactly where I live, but it is a possibility. As a homeowner, as someone who has a stake in this, I've been here for 11 years, I'll probably be here for 20 or more. We don't have any plans to leave anytime soon. I would not like this thrown on my plate. And I think that it would be a good idea for the city to look at the possibility of an assessment of some sort. I would be willing personally, I just crunched some fast numbers. If we have 30,915 homes, individual homes, 20,000, or sorry, residences, 20,000 which are actual homes, and this is just numbers I got from the city's website. I don't know how close this is. If I was to pay personally on my sewage assessment, an assessment that is specifically set aside for infrastructure to replace crumbling existing sewer lines and the laterals connected to them, $5 a month would be $60 a year on my property taxes. If you multiply that by 20,000 homes, you come up with $1.2 million a year. If you come to me later and say, we set up a process to pay for this, for the laterals and everything else, because it was an unexpected expense that was laid on the sewers and on the city department that runs the sewers, I think I'd be a lot friendlier towards the city than what's happening right now. It really feels like it was thrown in people's faces with a 45-day notice, and there was plenty of time for these homeowners to be notified and included in the process. And I think we need to look for the future for all of us. And if this happens to the rest of us, what's it going to do to us? I really wouldn't like to see an assessment on my home or have to take out an unexpected $15,000 3-year loan because of a city infrastructure project. Thank you.
I believe everyone has this phone number, or the staff phone number that I put in my email, but would you just reiterate, if you have further questions, they'll give you a phone number you can call. And, you know, we're going to talk about this. We're going to see if maybe it requires a meeting, how many people are interested in having a meeting apart from this, because we can't take all of their time.
I have one question that I would like to answer in the public forum, and what is the reasoning behind giving us 45 days and then rescinding your offer to pay for the portion of the street if you don't sign that within 45 days? What's the reason behind that, other than sort of muscling people into signing that form?
Well, honestly, the reason is to try to gather to do all the lateral work in an efficient manner while the laterals we have a contractor available, and we can do that work. Frankly, we didn't anticipate that the lateral piece of it, and we can debate, I'm sure there's going to be debate on this whole program, is that the laterals, one way or the other, this project is going to have to proceed because of the condition of the sewer. The 45 days was to to get the street portion of the work done quickly, so then you have the rest of the, effectively the rest of the year to determine how the property was going to be sewered to that location.
Right, but you're rescinding your offer to pay for that portion in the street if we don't sign the form in 45 days, and that is tantamount to muscling us into a decision.
Well, Frank, we didn't see that there was a decision to be made in the 45
We're
days.
not disputing that it needs to be fixed, we're disputing who has to pay for it, and you're only giving us 45 days to make a decision.
Well, no, just for the clarification on the 45 days. I mean, the 45 days is only to deal with a portion that the city is paying for. You can debate because it's efficient to get that part of the construction done. There's plenty of time, if council so desires, to debate who should be paying for the rest of the line. Strictly from the engineering side of things, I would encourage people to actually take the city up on the offer to get that piece that they know that the city is going to pay for, to get that in. I don't see that you're agreeing in that agreement. The only thing you're agreeing to is that once you've tied into that lateral, that it then becomes your property to maintain. There's no agreement there that says that you're going to take out a loan or to do anything else. You can continue. Pardon?
There are 4 things on that list, and we're not attorneys. We have to figure out what we're signing away to, and part of it is mentioning that loan. So you're forcing us to make a decision in 45 days, because if you don't, we won't get the portion paid in the street. And that part of you rescinding that offer wasn't even in the letter. That was in the law that you guys passed in December. You didn't tell us that you'd be taking away that portion. I'd like that answered in a common way that makes sense, because that makes no sense to me.
Well, like I say, the 45 days was the expedition to get those laterals done. If policy is wished to be changed, as staff, we will certainly do what the council's wishes are.
With the amount of, this will be brought up, I'll bring it up in my comments at the next meeting. Can I say that I can get, for 3 other votes to go along with me? I can't guarantee that, but I will offer to bring it up and discuss it then.
We'd like to know when the next meeting is, so we can put it on the listserv and the residents can actually attend.
The next council meeting?
The meeting about the sewer lateral specifically. If you're not having something specifically, then we'd like to arrange something specifically for the residents. If that
Obviously, timeliness is an issue.
I recognize that. The council needs to look at this again. This is the bottom line, and that's something that Pauline and I are in agreement on. I can't tell you obviously what the result of that process will be, but I think that there's legitimate questions, there's legitimate criticisms. This is the first time it's being done. Maybe everything wasn't thought out as well as it possibly could have been. We're trying to act in good faith. We don't want people to feel pressured into feeling that the city is bullying them in any way. And the city council has a workshop. Actually it's a regular meeting on Monday night. And Pauline and I will be, during our comments, will be asking for the council to bring this back to the agenda to look at further. And that's, then we can update you after, we get their feedback. Because obviously this is affecting folks here, but it will create a precedent for the future, because we do have sewers that are going to be, degrading, and work is going to have to be done. And we want to have a process that, works for the community and, not only the neighbors directly affected, but our entire community. And I think there's room for improvement in what we have, not to be critical to anyone, but just, the unexamined life's not worth living. The unexamined city that doesn't take legitimate criticism, is it worth supporting? We want to have a city that you want to support.